And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Our latest Pop Culture Cosmos has the last word on The Last of Us. I talked to TJ Johnson about season 2, his overall thoughts on the season, about also as well a certain death of a certain main character that happened a little bit sooner than people who played the game thought, and was a surprise to those who didn't play the game. So we talk about that, what the future of the series will be, plus is there any concern with the ratings kind of not going in the right direction at the end of season 2. So we talked about that as well, right there for you on the Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your podcasts. Joe Soros coming soon. He said he's coming right around the corner. JSJ, big deal. It's a record-breaking PS4. Again, I'm the smart one. You never can win this conversation because the Switch 2, what you paid $150 more than I did, and I have a more powerful Xbox Series X that can play more powerful games, better games, deeper games, better looking games than your little kitty Switch 2. So unfortunately, the Nintendo fans, more power to them, bless them, they will buy anything Nintendo spits out. Apple fans will buy anything that Apple spits out. So that 3.5 million in 4 days, yeah, that's nice. That's good. That's really good. But let's see them keep that up at $500. We'll see what happens for, again, a glorified PS4. I'm not buying it, JSJ, so you're wrong on that statement there. And there's still, when I go to Walmart, Best Buy, and other outlets, they still have plenty in stock. So obviously they're not selling out of their entire inventory. So maybe you want to go ahead and just keep happy. Well, they are projecting up to 18 million by the end of this year, which is a good start. But again, I don't see it beating the Switch or the PS4 sales, indeed. But for more pop culture talk, you can go ahead to Pop Culture Cosmos. That's available on podcast outlets everywhere. Joe Soro is coming up right now. Go ahead and catch him on the Joe Soro Experiment that you can find at the Joe Soro channel. Plus also his game is still on Steam. It is Corrupt, Corupt. Go ahead and catch it today. Corrupt on Steam. And then, of course, his company, if you are in the Southern California area, go ahead and support it today. Simblades. Simblades with a Y.com. It is Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. I was hoping Sean may join us because I wanted to go ahead and break down later on. We're going to talk about the Game 3 that just happened in the NBA Finals. But later on, I have as a topic LakerTom and his trades. Are they crazy or are they not so crazy? I've got 6 of them lined up that he's actually done over the course of the summer. I want to hear your thoughts on that. And also you guys out there as well. Just let us know your thoughts on some LakerTom trades coming up here in a bit. But Joe, it is Game 3 of the NBA Finals that just finished with Indiana in the fourth quarter, down 5. That's nothing to them. They went ahead and they pulled away from the OKC Thunder. OKC Thunder, especially Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, looked tired. They lost their composure. About 4 minutes left. Really could not find it once again. Missed free throws, mistakes. The things that they did to Indiana in Game 2 they got done to them in Game 3. And now we have Indiana up 2-1.
Seems to be the theme of inconsistencies throughout the entire playoffs. That's what parity has created. You'll see a close game that ends up with a last-second shot. Then you'll see a blowout the next game. Then you'll see a neck-and-neck game, and then somebody will pull away at the end, which is what Indiana did tonight. I was able to watch the second half completely. First half was a little in and out due to circumstances with my schedule. But I think I saw the important parts. And the Indiana Pacers have a focus that's similar to the Toronto Raptors, and coincidentally, they have one of those guys on this team, Pascal Siakam, who just won the Western Conference Finals MVP and is playing that key role in that championship teams have, in that he's doing things that really, really make the difference at the right time. Halliburton is doing his thing. Matherin had a really good game tonight. Turner was that last play against Chet Holmgren, where Chet would, he blocked Chet's 3-point shot, and then Chet got the ball back and tried to drive to the hole and messed up that whole play on him, and then got the ball to bounce off Chet and get the ball back. That was probably the clincher in the game, and from my view. And most of us have predicted that Oklahoma City would win this series. I haven't gotten away from that yet. Oklahoma City just needs to win one in Indiana, and they get back home court. And then at that point, all they got to do is win their home games to win it all. But I'm very impressed with how Indiana's playing, and if Indiana can win Game 4, though, then things could get very interesting. I think they could. I don't see a guarantee that they're going to win it, but it's going to be much easier. But I have a good feeling that it's going to be 2-2 by the end of Game 4. I just feel like Oklahoma's going to adjust, come out, and probably tie the series.
One of the things that I was interested to note that at the end of the game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander looked really tired. He did play 6 more minutes than anyone else in the contest from either team. I believe he played 42 minutes as opposed to 36, I think, for Tyrese Halliburton, who played the most on Indiana. I know you're not a big thing on fatigue and things of that nature, but I think I clearly saw him not making efforts on plays down the stretch. I know that Doris Burke called a couple out. I noticed the team as a whole, OKC, even though they're supposed to have all this depth, it wasn't properly utilized because they looked, all of them, at tired. Obi Toppin just walked right in and got a rebound slam. It just seemed like for a team that has so many players they could utilize, it just doesn't seem like they're doing well at all. In fact, their bench got outscored by quite a bit due to the big game by Ben Matherin today.
The Shai Gilgeous-centric team, the deeper you get into the playoffs, especially when you get to the finals, becomes more magnified. It's very clear that Shai Gilgeous is the 1 and the 2. It's not even just the 1. He's a 1, and he's the 2 option. And if you're playing against a team that's extremely well coached, like Indiana is, and you have 5 players on that team that could score in bunches, you can somewhat neutralize a singular player that is as dominant as he has this year in Shai Gilgeous. Oklahoma City is going to have to figure out. This is the second game where you could see that, and we talked about this with Luka. The issue with Luka not being able to finish and get tired the last few years is the deeper he gets into those runs, the more tired he gets at the end. And Shai Gilgeous is in extremely good condition. People think that Luka ran out of gas the last 3 years. Let's not talk about this year. This year is a little different because of the scenario. But he couldn't do what he was doing before the finals last year, and then the year before got to the Western Conference Finals and couldn't finish that. Because at some point, the deeper you get into those rounds, people are more focused. Teams are more focused. Coaches have a better scheme. It's very similar to an NFL team when they get into the playoffs. You'll see The New York Giants, when they played the Patriots in a couple of those Super Bowls, you see that those guys up in the front four were very determined to get to Tom Brady. And it's different in the Super Bowl versus a regular season game. And that's what's going on here with Shea Gilgeous. This is the second game where he couldn't really finish the game the way he probably wanted to, because it is draining. And again, this guy's in great shape, right? Sometimes it's just not about that. Luka's not being in shape, there's some truth to that, but Luka's game isn't based off athleticism, so it's not as prudent for him to be about getting to the basket with amazing athleticism.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. It's the Lakers Snack Back. Hopefully everybody's out there watching, listening. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to do so. It does help us out in these slow months for the Lakers period of time, or at least the slow weeks till we get back rolling again, because the draft is coming up. Got an NBA live mock draft that's coming up here. I'm going to schedule out here in just a couple days. Also, as well, our free agency special is also around the corner, so we can't help but be a little bit busier into that stretch. But then it gets into Summer League. We'll go ahead and be part of that on playback.tv, hopefully, and Lakers Fast Break there. So go ahead and catch all the good stuff. Plus, Joe Soro is still got you on playback.tv/the Joe Soro Experiment right there for you for all your Dodger games as well. My friend, though, again, when it comes right down to it, I'm not totally convinced that they will not go out with a split. I really think that OKC looks like a team that just needs to make some adjustments. I'm not expecting 25 off the bench again from Ben Mathurin? 27 off the bench from Ben Mathurin. I'm not saying he can't do it. I mean, he's close to 20 points a game during the course of the regular season. I'm just expecting something on the OKC side to be done to help give SGA a little bit more time and also slow down the bench. Well, but then again, benches always seem to do better in their home arena, Joe.
True. And they very well may blow Indiana out in game 4 and then go home and win that game. It's probably the kind of focus they're looking at right now. They're probably going, let's win game 4. Then the next game will be at home. And if we end up going 3-2, chances are, I think the percentages are almost in the mid 80s. I think it's like 83 or 84% that the team that wins game 5 in the NBA Finals wins the championship. Indiana needs to win game 4. I would say it's a must win for them. If they win game 4 and they're up 3-1, that's probably their best chance to win it all.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, they could still win it without winning game 4, but it would be, now the pressure really gets on it really gets laid on to Oklahoma City, because now they have to win game 5. They have to win every game, otherwise they're out, right? And then even if they win game 5, they're still going to be down 3-2, and then they got to face Indiana at home. Winning that road game in game 6 is very hard in the finals when you're down 3-2. And
JY, just going to say, because he's asking if Scott Foster shows up for game 4, SGA won't be the foul merchant. I know you'd have to talk to Chris Paul just to make sure if that's the case. Joe?
I really don't pay attention to that stuff. I know Scott Foster's reputation with Chris Paul and other things, but it's not something I look for. I couldn't care less who the refs are. I have never cared about who the refs are in any sport, to be honest with you. And what we are appreciative of is the fact that these games have been pretty good. Game 1 was pretty damn good. Game 3 was good. Still no NBA trophy in the middle of the ring, middle of the court for some weird reason. Other than that, the two out of the 3 games have been entertaining and shown a lot of skills. And looking at Indiana would probably be similar to the Pistons of 2004 in terms of not really having in my view, a star of stars on the team. Halliburton is a very good player, but there's no one else. There's no one on that team that I would say is great. I get a lot of kickback on this. Ben Wallace to me wasn't great. Chauncey Billups wasn't great. Rip Hamilton wasn't great. They were just very, very good, and they were their
as a
time
collective unit.
as a collective, and their timing at the time. The timing that year was on point, where they met a team that was in disarray at the worst time, and at the same time, the execution as well didn't come through. But
Uh,
but yeah,
Go ahead, my friend.
yeah, it's it's the league's, I guess, wet dream in terms of parity. But I don't think this kind of finals is got any meat on it, and it never did. Even when we saw the participants in the conference finals, deep down, most of us knew when watching basketball this year, we knew that Indiana was going to beat the Knicks. The Knicks would have had to have done other things out of this world to get out of that. I kind of knew Indiana was going to win. Oklahoma City, I felt, was going to wax Minnesota, and they did. And then I felt Oklahoma City was going to win this series. But I am surprised that. Well, I mean, again, Oklahoma City kind of laid an egg there at game one. They should have won game one. They'd be up 2-0, and they'd lose game three. It would be it would make sense. But I'm gonna wait until game four is finished to decide on where this likely goes. I can't sort of feel that if game four is kind of gonna probably be the winner of the series, because I do believe if Oklahoma City wins game four, I can't see them losing to the next three after that.
I will say this again. We talked about the parity, like you said, for Adam Silver. It's a great win for his parities because, again, we've seen a different champion for each of the past 7 years, and we're going to see another one this year. With the ratings, though, I don't know. They're trying to spin it in some way, in some fashion, but unfortunately, the numbers speak for themselves as far as overall, because this is one of the worst rated series of this century. If as far as what has been quoted out there, I believe as low as 30% from what some of the more recent NBA Finals series have done. Yeah, you got what you wanted. You got what you wished for. I know that's not what you wanted, Joe, but your soothsaying skills are proving to be correct, because when you don't have these high-profile teams competing at that high level, for instance, if New York had made the finals, I think that would have changed a lot, especially in one of the biggest media markets on the entire planet. But they didn't. You've got two of the smaller media markets in the entire country, and in doing so, you're getting quite the response that you were asking for with this parity. And again, away from the major markets this time around, Joe.
It's also the power players. There's no power player in this series at all. Shea Gilgeous is a great player, the only great player, and I say great loosely. I know he's the MVP, but I don't consider him LeBron or Steph Curry or Durant. So there's a whole different great level in some cases. Star power would work in a small market. It worked when Cleveland was going to the finals. It worked when Tim Duncan was in San Antonio. I know that had a lot to do with the fact that they were facing the Lakers, and there was this whole Laker thing. Whoever won that series would go and win the title. But the last time the NBA had a decade where there was a singular champion each year, this was between 1970 and 1979. I know it was a different time, but that was a decade where there were a lot of questions until Magic and Bird showed up that the NBA might not last.
Mhm.
And you look at the star power at the time. Wilt had retired in 1973. Jerry West, I think, retired in 73 as well. You had Kareem, and then you had the merger with the ABA with Dr. J, and Dr. J had some major star power, but it wasn't enough that at that time. It was the culture of the NBA wasn't really connecting with the fans. But what ended up changing it was the narrative of the East versus West. You had the two best players for, you could say, at least 6 to 7 seasons until Michael Jordan. I think until Michael Jordan went off in 1987. I mean, he was probably a better player than Magic and Bird in 86 and in 85, but 87 was like when Jordan finally, like, that was it. Like, there was no question that Michael was the best player in the NBA. He just wasn't winning championships yet. But between 1980 and 1986, you had a infusion of interest from the public due to the fact that you had this East-West best player on each side. And I got a taste of that a little bit a few weeks ago when I went to the Yankee-Dodger game, which is extremely rare in baseball. Baseball, it's virtually impossible to get the two best teams in the league. Now, there's arguments to that, right? The Detroit Tigers and the Mets have the best records in the league, but really, there's no doubt that the Yankees and the Dodgers have a really good chance of going all the way and meeting each other again. But there is no doubt, to me at least, that Ohtani is the best player in the majors with Aaron Judge. And not only did you have the storied franchise of the Dodgers and the Yankees, you had the two best teams in the league who just met in the World Series, and you had the two MVPs, current MVPs, who are playing like MVPs this year again. And not only did they do that, they were going tit for tat. Judge hitting a home run, Ohtani answers, and then Ohtani answers again, basically telling everybody, this is my house. Thank you, Aaron Judge, for showing up, but this is my house. This is my league. And that is what brings the eyes of the general public to the game. And the NBA has nothing right now of that. There's a lot more disdain for the league than there is interest. And Adam Silver's not doing anything to promote his league, which is mind-boggling to me, because I've been a big fan of Adam Silver. I thought from 2014 when he took over until 2020, I thought he was marvelous. I thought the way he handled the Donald Sterling situation, all those years that David Stern didn't do anything, he got that guy clipped in 5 seconds. And then the way he was building the league was very, very positive. And then COVID hit, and it seems like he's been on a downhill. I don't know what the NBA can do to fix the problem, other than to have superstars participate in the important games, which the NBA has been notorious for, but it hasn't lately. As great as Jokic is, he's not a household name.
No.
As great as Embiid was when he won his MVP, he's not a household name. None of these guys that have won the MVP the last 4 or 5 years are really household names. They're not LeBron. They're not Steph Curry. And the NBA has flourished and became the amazing game that it was due to the star power, and the star power being in those big games like the finals or late into the conference finals.
So let me ask you this. This goes back to the ratings question. And as again, however the NBA is trying to spin it, that there's been on more televisions, blah, 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 blah. The actual Nielsen ratings, or the ratings themselves, have come out, and they have not been promising. I'll just say that. Best league, it was JY. JY was asking, is it because, if you had to point one, if you had to say one, is it more because the big market teams aren't involved, or is it because of the lack of, familiar star power? If you had to pick one.
More star power. There's no star in the league, really. LeBron is still the star, and Steph is still the second star. And Durant's kind of just floating there. I don't really even know what.
Oh, we'll talk about Durant here in just a couple
Yeah, yeah.
minutes.
It's not. LeBron is still the face of the NBA,
Mm.
and that's not good. That's not good when your best player, most popular player on in the league is consistently playing in the first rounds and barely getting into the playoffs and making it. That doesn't help. That doesn't help your league, not in the NBA, anyways. And there isn't. I don't see it in Cooper Flag. I don't see it in Chet Holmgren. I don't see it in Wembyama, even in a lot of ways, as great potentially he has. Great potential he has. He's not LeBron. Here's the thing with LeBron and Steph. They're two different physical entities to this, but they both work in so many ways. LeBron is a 6'8", arguably 250 pounds. I don't think he's 260. I think he's probably closer to 240. But he's a 6'8", 240 freight train that's in control. He's Karl Malone with ball handling skills, essentially. That's what I used to call him. Guy that's, put together pretty well and can run like a freight train and is, in my view, the best player. It was never not the best player, even when Steph was in his prime and even when Durant was in his prime. Not for any year, even though they won MVPs. Then you have Steph. What Steph did is he gave hope to all the people who were not 6'8" and 250. He said, you can play in this league at 6'2" and be probably the scariest player in the NBA. Steph Curry in the between 2010 and 2020 is the scariest player of that era, I would say. And you know how I explain the fear factor is, to me, the greatness of a player. If you're afraid of a guy, that shows how great he is. Now, there's levels to it. Reggie Miller was a scary player, but he had physical limitations. And in a lot of ways, Steph Curry also has those. You didn't see him go to the basket like LeBron or Shaq. I'm sorry, like Kobe or D Wade and those guys. He wasn't about that. However, he made up for that because he could shoot 27-foot 3-point shots and not miss for like an hour. And that is demoralizing. There's nothing like that. There's not a player. Shai Gilgeous doesn't have it. Jokic doesn't have it. Embiid, when he was playing, didn't have it. Jalen Brunson doesn't have it. So even if New York was in the finals with, I don't know, who could I think of a big market in the West? Houston, right? It wouldn't have worked either. So the NBA is in a weird spot. Now, what saves the leagues, and it's something that doesn't get talked about enough, even though it's been a pretty big topic in a lot of things, is gambling. I think gambling keeps these things afloat now, and that's why they were so adamant in pushing the gambling, because they knew they were losing the general audience. But the gambling keeps them in, and they're promoting gambling to impressionable people to make them watch. And I believe in the next 10 years, you're going to see a shift there when reports start to come out about how people's lives are being destroyed because of it. And it's already starting, by the way.
Yeah, it has. And I have to agree with you on that.
And they'll come out and they'll say, oh, we have to this and we have to that. It's all BS. It's all crap. They all know it's destroying families right now. But I guess they're all about inclusion and equality and all that until it means destroying families. And what I mean by destroying families, in case anybody hasn't heard, there are a lot of reports that, of course, these guys aren't going to publicize it, but there are a lot of reports of mid-20 men bankrupting their parents. And if we all know that the 20-year-olds right now can't afford to buy homes across, even not, it used to be a California problem or a New York problem. It is no longer a California and a New York problem. I was checking houses out in Tennessee because my friend's thinking about moving there. And I was just curious to see what a 4-bedroom, 3-bath looked like. Dude, those prices are on $600,000 now in Tennessee. So there's going to be a epidemic of destruction in the family home due to gambling and the promotion of the sports in the gambling. And it's going to come out, and I'm telling you, write it down. Between now and the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot of noise coming out about it. And you'll see how destructive it is. And that's the only way they can keep eyes on this that are not diehards like us.
So with that, once again, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Again, thanks so much again for watching and listening to us. Truly appreciate it. So the Lakers, we're going to go ahead and talk about them here in a few minutes, but it is the NBA Finals, which are now 2-1 in favor of Indiana. So we'll see what happens in Game 4 on Friday. Don't forget to go ahead and check it out, playback.tv. So that's Lakers Fast Break. But Joe, you mentioned Kevin Durant, and he was also mentioned in the chat. Interesting thing that Shams Charania from ESPN said today about Kevin Durant. He said he's reporting that the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant's business partner, his business partner Rich Kleiman, are sorting through trade options with interested teams, mainly featuring Houston, San Antonio, Minnesota, Miami, and New York, which, by the way, is getting turned down for every request that they're making in regards to a head coach. Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka. The list was getting pretty wide. Yes, I think it's like now 4 or 5. Quinn Snyder from Atlanta. All those teams said, no, you cannot go ahead and have permission to talk about him. So the Knicks are really going on hard times as far as that's concerned right now, but I'm sure they'll come up with a coach. But getting back to Kevin Durant, my friend, when it comes right down to it, 37 years old, he is not the player that he once was, still is an elite shooter, elite scorer, can still get the basketball in the hoop, but at 37, again, how much can he give you? The thing that concerned me was the fact that he is not like Bradley Beal, who has a no trade clause. It seems like that Kevin Durant is going to be guiding his career forward. And as a future Hall of Famer, some would say that is the proper way to treat an individual such as him being moved away from Phoenix. While others would say it's the old catch-22. Others would say Phoenix needs to do what's best for Phoenix, similar to what Milwaukee may have to go ahead with their conundrum with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I ask you, my friend, what side of the fence are you on in regards to Kevin Durant being traded to somewhere he wants to go or somewhere that helps best, the Phoenix Suns?
The only trade I believe would happen is if a team is a Kevin Durant away from winning a championship, at least having an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that could work out money-wise because he's making $50 million. So it's not bad, I guess. They could figure out something. Would Durant? I think Durant would help New York. Who they'd have to send out? It can't be anybody of significance because the depth is important there. I think the culture there is rather. It's important. Depth is always going to be important. that's what's helping Indiana right now win, right?
But let me ask you this: let's say you are Team Ishbia, because there seems to be a whole bunch of Ishbias now guiding the Phoenix Suns. Are you concerned when you're trying to make a deal for Kevin Durant and you may be stopped potentially because Kevin Durant and or his representative won't like where you want to go ahead and send him?
I'm picking New York because they have a player or players that they could take off that team and get Durant in return, and still have their core, the main core. So you're looking at Brunson, you're looking at Towns, you're looking at Josh Hart, you're looking at Bridges, right? So let's say they use OG and Anobi, and I'm just gonna put this in there. Let's say they trade OG and Mitchell Robinson, and then whatever draft capital they can get, and this could be a 3-team deal also somewhere, and they bring in Durant, and maybe Phoenix does this just to kind of keep things fresh, get it to kind of start in a fresh area. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that deal. Probably not. But for the Knicks, if they do that trade and it happens, and all they got to do is trade Robinson and OG, now things get interesting because now, and there's going to be a new coach. They're probably going to try to see if they can find somebody. They try to get permission for Kidd. Don't know why. Ime Udoka, I understand that one. And now they're going to be looking at Snyder down in Atlanta, which actually might not be a bad deal. I don't know why Atlanta would let him go, but
they were denied, by the way.
Okay, good. I didn't hear that update. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for telling me that. I think that is the only way this makes sense for the opposing team to say, yes, we will take Durant. Why? Because now Jalen Brunson isn't going to be the only guy that's going to be the primary scorer, much like how you see with Halliburton in a lot of these cases. But when everybody starts scoring in Indiana, it does help. But he's still a primary, right? Brunson is even more of a primary in New York. If you actually keep that team, keep that same Villanova, almost all the Villanova guys, and then you have Towns, and you add a Durant in there who can score, and he's not going to have to worry about kind of being the one guy. That could be a difference maker in New York, especially in the East, because Indiana better win this finals, because I don't think they're going to be back for a long time. This is a one-shot deal. As good as they are, they're not going to be able to sign everybody. And that's something
starting with Turner.
Correct. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign him. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But regardless, they're not going to be able to keep everybody. This is a team that would be, should they win, the first team since 2012, I believe. 2012? Yeah. Courtesy of Sean Grice's research, that will have won a championship not ever going into the luxury tax. And I'm not going to sit here and be naive and think, oh, well, they just won a championship. They're probably going to, let's spend some money. I got to see it to believe that, especially with the new structure. The new structure says if they end up signing Turner, are they going to get ready to get into the second aprons and pay $50 to $100 million in tax? Not going to happen. I'd have to see that. So if I'm Durant's people, I probably look at New York as the number one spot. Going to Houston, I don't think is going to make a difference. Going to San Antonio, I don't think is realistic. Maybe Orlando, but they're not going to, like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be Franz and Durant and Pablo? I don't know about that. I don't know how.
So if they signed a Turner, if they re-signed Miles Turner to the Indiana Pacers, there is the possibility that Indiana would become too expensive to retain players like Matherin, who did so well tonight, or Shepherd, who's done well at spots during the course of the playoffs. Young, talented players like that, once they're eligible for their extensions or fund maxes or whatever you want to say, those players may be the ones that you risk, and those are supposed to be a part of your future going forward. So yeah, that is definitely a concern, because you have Siakam, Turner, Halliburton. Who's going to play with Halliburton going forward? Because again, Turner and Siakam, they're great right now, but for how long? How much longer? Especially if we resign them to really high extensions. So yeah, that's a concern because again, how much and how long is Indiana going to stay in the tax bracket? So we will have to wait and see. But it's kind of very interesting. One team's problem could be another team's advantage as far as that's concerned. But yeah, we'll wait and
Yeah,
see.
the Pacers are going to have to make a decision on, are they going to pay Miles Turner what
Uh-huh.
his market's going to be, especially if they win it, or are they going to extend Benedict Mathurin next year, after next year, because he's due for an extension? They're going to have to choose one of those guys.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin, Naismith, McConnell are all signed for 4 years, 3 years, I think, and they're all in the teens, except for TJ. I think he's making like 10. But the
Neesmith will want more.
Neesmith, sorry, Neesmith. Jeez,
Neesmith will want more. Toppin will want
yeah, but see,
more. But
Neesmith will want more, but he's signed through 27, so they have some time with that one.
yes,
And they could, if they decide that they want to trade somebody, if he becomes let's say he becomes an all-star or something like that, right? I think they have some time for that. But what they're probably going to have to make a decision on with Miles. Do they want to pay this guy a 5-year, $150 million contract, and then have to pay Benedict Mathurin next year, who he's going to get 20 to 30 mil, right? At least based off the salary cap numbers now. It could be 30. I don't know.
Shepard will get close to 20, in my opinion. Obi Toppin will probably sign around 15 to 20 himself.
Yeah,
So
Obi signed through 28, so they don't have to worry about him either. But he's getting paid 14, 15, and 16, which is those are good contracts.
Those are good numbers, really solid.
But they're going to have to make that decision if they feel like that
Nemhard too.
Yeah, that one. Man, that's a guy that I wouldn't mind having with the Lakers.
I mean, because he's like Caruso. It's not the numbers with Nemhard. It's you have to see what he does to give you the contribution that he really gives you. Plus, he plays the best when it matters the most.
And I forgot his contract goes up. I think it's 6 times the contract he's getting paid this year.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to see this to believe that they're gonna re-sign Miles Turner. The way Indiana has constructed their franchise the last decade and a half, it says that they're not going to pay him. They're going to let him go and go with what they can go with. But nonetheless, the NBA is a parity league. I think the owners all across the NBA are sort of getting what they want, but fans don't want to see Indiana versus Oklahoma City, and they don't care. They don't care for the Jalen Brunsons, and they don't care for, honestly, they don't even care for the Anthony Edwardses. I forgot to mention him.
Best League says Pistons are after Turner. If that's the case, we'll take Jalen.
I'll take Jalen all day. Yeah. Oh, that's the one that's a game changer.
Can't hit threes. Oh well, your rebounding issues are solved defensively. He's a beast inside. You know, it's rare you're going to find a person or a center that's going to fix all your problems, because we talked about, however well he is as far as an elite 3-point shooter at the center position and a block shot rim protector and also a lob threat, he does not rebound. So as one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA, as the Lakers are, you have to, if you get him, you have to figure out how you're going to go ahead and make up for a lot of rebounds you're not going to get with Miles Turner. Again, I wouldn't mind having him. Again, great player. Laker Tom, who we're going to talk about in a minute, has been coveting him for years. But again, that's where his deficiency lies. So you have to make it up so far as the offensive and defensive rebounding if you get Miles Turner. And that's one of their faux pas. are able to overcome in Indiana because they have a team rebounding philosophy. Halliburton rebounds well. Toppin rebounds pretty good. There are others that pick up the slack. Siakam as well. But again, when it comes to Turner, those, like for instance tonight, 2 rebounds. So you have to make up for his deficiencies if you sign him, because he gives you so much else in other areas of the game. So Bloodhound says we can't afford Nas Reed. Yeah, that's probably right. But yeah, if best league, I tell you what, if he goes to Detroit, we'll definitely take Duren. Wouldn't have no problem with that. But with that, Joe, go ahead, finish up.
Yeah, I don't believe Nas or Miles are going to be anywhere near the Lakers. They don't have enough money.
No, they're both asking for above 30 million, I think, in my opinion. And whether or not that Nas will get it remains to be seen. But I know Turner, coming off this finals performance, like right now, he as you saw, Joe Holmgren, at times looks like a unicorn. At times, he kind of dribbles like a unicorn, and unfortunately, there are times like today where you saw the best and the worst of Chet Holmgren, because of his lack of athleticism at times gets the best of him when he tries to go ahead and dribble drive on individuals, or if he puts the ball up from 3 too lackadaisically or does not have enough space. You can see Miles Turner really changed the game with those rejections of him on both those areas. So those are things that Holmgren has to improve upon in order to better his game. But again, I'm looking forward to Game 4 to see if OKC will make the adjustments necessary to go ahead and be able to tie up the series. Big shout out to Legend 350 from I've got Next Sports Media. Truly appreciate it. Let's schedule something out next week. And I know also as well, we've got upcoming the NBA mock draft that we're going to be a part of. Stone Hansen also is going to do a dedicated NBA draft show coming up in the near future. I believe a week from today, if I'm not mistaken. So be on the lookout for that, as he's going to go ahead and talk some NBA draft here coming up real soon right here on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. But I did want to mention the reason why we're here, Joe. Our good friend Laker Tom from LakerHolics.com. And everybody out there that's listening and watching, please, regardless of whether you don't like his trades or like his trades, Laker Tom, you got to give him an immense amount of credit for putting this always out there on his Twitter or LakerHolics.com. So please support him at LakerHolics.com. He's in his 80s doing this. He loves the Lakers, and he loves still doing this. And for that, he deserves a tremendous amount of credit. I know we've always teased him on the show, and I've always chided it back and forth with him as far as chided him on his trades and all that. But I've got a lot here to show you, Joe, because he's been very busy since the Lakers got defeated and got sent to Cancun and all that. So I want to show you some of his trades that he's been working out there. I want to hear your thoughts on it. And also you guys as well out there in the chat. Tell me your thoughts on some of the Laker trades that Laker Tom has coming up. We'll start off with this one. The Lakers would be acquiring, according to the trade machine, the beloved trade machine, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler, and a 2031 second-round pick in exchange for Rui Hashimura, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, and 2 firsts. Now, the 2 first thing, again, I've only have confirmation that the Lakers have 1 at this point in time. I don't know if in the new league year, when it turns to July 1st, that's when the new league year hits. If they get a second one, I have not gotten confirmation on that. If that's the case, and they do get another one, they'll have 2 to offer to teams out there. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. Basically, for the players involved, the picks are, of course, part of that as well. But your thoughts, Joe, on this first Laker trade from Laker Tom. Sexton, Clarkson, and Kessler becoming Lakers.
It's not the worst thing I've seen.
No, I don't think so. He's had crazier trades, so I
But
give him credit for that.
yeah, I don't know if I don't know if that makes that much of a difference, unless Kessler turns into a borderline all-star center next year.
Uh-huh.
Because I do like Clarkson's game. I think he's the perfect six guy, right?
Uh-huh.
But then who's going to start? There's got to be something else that comes the
There's got to
Lakers'
be
way.
another move
There's got
because
to be
again,
at least yeah. There's got to be at least
Sexton, Clarkson are great guys coming off your bench.
yeah, and you're exchanging two players that probably it becomes a lateral move between those picks and a lot and you got older players actually. I mean, Sexton's not
Uh-huh.
older, but Jordan is. You would need you do that trade if you feel like Kessler is the guy, like he's
Uh-huh.
gonna be maybe a Zubac type, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, the positive in it too is you got Sexton in there who's got some skills. His contract is done after next year, so if he sucks, it is what it is. You'll have money to disperse. Same with Clarkson; he's on an expiring contract. Uh, I'm gonna say they would extend Kessler at that point, or would they
Uh-huh.
wait till next year? I I don't know how that would work, but they would have to make that trade knowing that Kessler is going to be a borderline all-star center. If you have that, then I think there's some merit there, but you're gonna have to replace. You're going to have to replace Reeves and Hachimura in those positions probably next year for sure. But if you
Uh-huh.
want to win a championship this year, you'd have to do it somehow in the summer. I don't know how the hell they could do that.
Yeah, especially if you traded two of your best options away for guys that definitely would markedly increase your bench scoring, which is obviously one of problem too, because the Lakers were one of the worst bench scoring teams in the NBA. But you see the problem there as far as excuse me, you see the problem there as far as what it does. You use two of your starters for two really good backups. I think that's the problem and the conundrum there, because those guys can't start. If they start, you have issues and you have problems. As mentioned in our chat, both have defensive issues. Really good on the offensive end, but again, you taking a weak defensive team and making them just a little bit weaker on the defensive end.
It would have to be for Kessler in that you get a little bit of a hit,
You got to be
but
really high on Kessler.
Kessler has to
Really.
be the guy that you think is going to be a borderline all-star, if not an all-star. Because that could make a difference when you get somebody at the center position that's an all-star. It will make things much easier, especially someone who could score.
Could you see him progress and again, JSJ is going to get me on this, but could you see him progress in the way that Zubats has
Yeah,
progressed?
he could. But what does that mean in today's NBA, though? The center position is not. The center position is an empty position, even when the player is valuable, because they're exploited when it matters. Much like the running back in the NFL, the center position has gone the way of the running back. It is nice to have a running back. Philly obviously made note of that by getting Saquon, and he made a huge difference. But still, at the end of the day, it was still Jalen Hurts doing what he did and winning MVP. It's just what it is. So the center position is not. It's just not making a difference in close games and in big games these days. It's all guard play. It's all
But you say
essentially.
that, and we saw Holmgren versus Turner tonight in the key moments
Yeah,
of the
but
game.
Turner, other than that last sequence against Chet, was terrible tonight.
Uh-huh.
And Chet, he might have dropped 20 points, but his athleticism is going to be a problem if he's a second option, which he is on this team in a lot of ways. he's either going to have to get faster or get more separation because he can shoot. He's shown that he can. He's improved in his shooting, but he walks. He has a similar strut like Wembanyama in that they look like baby deer that were just born. They don't run. They don't run like athletes. They run like they're decrepit. Like they're like kind of like slow mo. And that can't happen. That'll Wembanyama can get around that more than anyone because he's so tall and he is skilled. But I think Holmgren needs to focus on being a defensive player of the year type and being probably a third option on a consecutive, consistent title contender.
So I have Laker Tom trade and number 2 that I'm going to bring to you right now, and I'll put it right here on the screen. Hopefully I can blow it up a little bit more for you guys. Hopefully, I don't know if that did anything, but no, it didn't really do it. So let me go ahead and read it off to you guys. He did a 4-team trade. So get this. The Trailblazers get Austin Reeves, Shake Milton. Now, Shake Milton, I believe you do have to go ahead and guarantee his contract, I believe, in order for that to go through. And a 2030 first rounder. And then Portland gets the rights to swap on that first rounder, excuse me. The Atlanta Hawks are in this as well. Rui Hashimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and Atlanta gets the rights to swap a 2028 first round pick. The Celtics are involved in this, and they get Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, and a clean, I guess he didn't say unprotected or anything like that, so I'm just going to say unprotected 2031 first round pick. And the Lakers somehow get Derek White, Onyeka Okongwu, and Denny Advia, who the Portland Trailblazers, by the way, called him their best player by the end of last year. So I don't think any of these teams are participating in this 4-team trade. These Laker Tom, I love you, my friend, but this one I don't think is going to fly. Your thoughts, Joe? Again, Lakers get Derek White, Onyeka Okongwu, and Denny Advia. The Celtics get Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, and a first rounder in 2031. Atlanta Hawks get Rui Hashimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and swap rights in the 2028. And the Trailblazers get Austin Reeves, Shake Milton, and a 2030 swap right as well. Your thoughts on that, my friend? I just don't see the other teams cooperating on that one, to be quite honest with you.
I don't know. Is Derek White better than Rui and Austin together?
Well, yeah, let me ask you on that, because Derek White has been talked about amongst Lakers fans as far as a possible trade target for a team in Boston that's going to be, having some hard times and going to be having some financially harder times as well. I mean, Jrue Holiday is a tough trade for anybody. I don't recommend any NBA team to go ahead and get him, especially in his mid-30s, and his contract is in the mid-30s, and he is in his mid-30s. Porzingis, is he? I understand it's expiring, but his health issues aside, Derek White. If you're not interested in Jaylen Brown, who just had an orthoscopic surgery today, Derek White seems to be the most attractive individual to a lot of teams out there, including possibly the Lakers.
I'm going to stay on the same path that I had in the last discussion about the current roster. The Lakers have to keep everyone that's on the team right now and add.
See, that's the hard part again, Joe, because
you have continuity.
They don't have a whole lot of
we're not factoring in continuity here. The continuity is important, even though I would prefer to have Rui and Austin on the bench. But if you can get a legitimate center who won't be injured 90% of the year, that would upgrade them a lot. And then if they can get just one guard that can penetrate and score just a little bit, things could be interesting next year with a in shape Luka, a training camp, an off season, whatever, and then cross your fingers that LeBron can play without hurting his groin again. That this team cannot shed the talent that they do have to get talent that has not played with this team. Therefore, there needs to be an acclimate. They got to acclimate now to do that instead of adding to what's already been together for about, well, I know Luka hasn't been here, but the core of the team has been together here for about 3 seasons.
You say that, and Austin and Rui are both on expiring contracts, and you know, if you go by that logic, you do have a higher possibility of losing them both out to free agents.
It doesn't matter because if LeBron is retiring, then it doesn't matter because they're dropping 50, 20, no, 31. Yeah, 31. That's $81 million after next year. And they can then go and put together the team that they need. And they're not going to lose both. I think they'll let one go if that were the case, but I think they're going to sign Austin Reeves, if anything. And this is strictly based off of just the last year with LeBron. What they do in 26 and the summer of 27 is really more of my interest. This year, they'd have to get extremely lucky in bringing in talent and keeping the continuity and keeping the depth so they can have a shot. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's better than I thought it would be 6 months ago when I was lambasting the collective bargaining agreement. But due to the fact that it is a strict, hard, pseudo-hard cap, should you get to the second apron, we feel here that there's going to be a lot more trades this summer because of it, because people will want to avoid the luxury tax and then want to avoid the aprons. So there may be desperation for teams not to pay tax and make deals that they probably wouldn't normally make. And maybe the Lakers can take advantage of that. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't have any other thoughts on it until it starts happening.
So with that, the next trade on the list is this one with Austin Reeves again being traded for Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis, a first and a second, a 2031 first and a 2025 second. So Murray, Keon Ellis, a first and a second for Austin Reeves. Multiple players, multiple draft picks for the Sacramento Kings for Austin Reeves. Younger. I don't know. Your mileage may vary on Murray, Keon Ellis. 3-and-D type players.
I think that's a downgrade in talent at the moment.
Okay. We'll go with that. So the next trade I have on the list is actually someone that you have thought a lot about. If I can get that one right on there. It was, I think, this one. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up that one right here. Austin Reeves for Jonathan Isaac.
That's a dumb trade. That's the worst one out of the bunch. Why would we send
two first
picks? That's stupid.
No, the Lakers acquire 2 first-round picks.
Oh, they acquire. I'm sorry. Yes. Apologies aside. I would do that trade.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to get those first 2 picks, but good luck.
All that stuff that Joe said, like,
yeah, good luck. They're not throwing 2 firsts for Austin and Isaac. Sorry, that's not gonna happen.
Okay, so all right.
Sorry, I was reading that wrong.
Asking. Okay, so all right, I'm just checking. So what's up, Jeff? How you doing? Check out Empire Jeff TV, covers the Lakers and Dodgers. Go ahead and check him out today. on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, go ahead. Let me get that one off there. The next one is going to be something you've already seen a little taste of, but we're going to go ahead and bring it back one more time in a different format, I believe. We'll go ahead right here. And that is this one right here. Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, and a couple second rounders. The Lakers get Derek White, Walker Kessler, and the Utah Jazz would get Dalton Connect, Shake Milton, second, and 2 firsts. The Lakers would also get a second. So basically, the Lakers would get White and Kessler and a second. Your thoughts on that?
I have. I don't know why that. I don't know. Kessler and White. Yeah. I'm trying to think why would Utah and the Celtics make that trade?
And you didn't trade away Rui.
As long as it's not both, so that you can have depth still. I would say that would help. Kessler has to be a borderline all-star in this deal. If you're going to give up that much draft capital, you're going to have him be the guy at center for a long time. And then Derek White has shown that he's got good skill sets, especially in important games, something that the Lakers haven't been getting from Austin. So yeah, I think that might be his best one. But I don't know why Utah and the Celtics would make that trade though. So I know the Celtics are getting Austin. I know they're getting Austin.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe there's some incentive there, but I don't know why Utah's going to be getting a bunch of draft picks, but why would they trade White when they're going to have to pay Austin at least 20 to 30 mil, according to the market? They might as well keep Derek.
It sounds like Best League is not a good fan, big fan of Derek White, evidently, and it is a $30 million contract. So yes, there it is.
And Derek White flourished in Boston.
30.
Yeah, he's flourished in Boston. He didn't necessarily he wasn't flourishing before then.
San Antonio. Yeah.
So does that mean he won't? I don't know what that means. Maybe it was just good timing on the Celtics' part, but I don't know.
Well, let me bring you the last one that he had up on things. Let's see if I can go ahead and get this. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit clearer. So, Lakers acquire Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler, and I want to ask your thoughts on Lauri Markkanen here in a minute. Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen. Again, you notice that Walker Kessler's in it, and then now the Jazz would be getting Rui, Austin, Gabe, Dalton. And they would get at least 1 first and 3 swaps, or actually 2 swaps and 2 firsts. Again, if the Lakers get their second first round to trade after.
That's the worst one he's had. That's the worst one. No one has taken Markkanen.
That's the one I agree with you on, but the most.
There's no way you're paying that guy $40 million to do what? You still got to pay Kessler. You're still going to have to extend Kessler, and you're giving up all those swaps. Why? You're the one doing Utah a favor. They should be sending you draft picks for that, or at least exchanging something. That's
well. We always talk about how Ainge and now Austin Ainge, his son, who is now involved in the front office for Utah. Danny Ainge is this sharp individual at the front office, and we made a note of it last year when he signed on the specific day he could not be traded. We didn't think this would age well, and he didn't have a great season. He did not have the kind of seasons he's had previously in Utah, and now you're asking him right in the prime of his career, he's going to be making 46, 46, 49, and 53. So you're saying he's not a mid to high 40s, low 50 million type player.
Close. I would have had a hard time paying him $20 million a year. To me, he's a $15 million a year player for 4 years. That's that would be the market if I was to look.
Because when he was with the Bulls, it certainly seemed like that was going to be the case. He had his, obviously his career upswing initially in Utah, which constituted to them the signing of the max.
I don't have any interest in any Utah Jazz player except for Kessler, due to the fact that he is a low-paying player, and the Lakers could maintain their depth if they were able to acquire him. Other than that, I'm not taking on a Lauri Markkanen that's at $40 million. That's not going to be good business, and the Lakers are not going to do that anyways.
Mission 24. I did want to tell you, they did. Unfortunately, there were some idiots in recent days that did deface the Kobe and Gigi mural in Los Angeles. But if you guys go to or anywhere near Laguna Beach, there is on the side of it, I think it's an optical store. Somebody told me optical store that there is a mural also as well of Kobe and Gigi. So that one has not been defaced as of yet, and that one I saw a picture of it. Somebody sent me a picture, and then it looked really good. Tough, yes. Derek White is a pretty good defender, and he usually gets the tough assignments on the defensive end. So the perimeter defense would be, on paper at least, improved. And then 3-point shooting, again, he flourished in Boston's system when everybody's chucking up threes. I don't know how that would go. Like Joe said, would he revert back to San Antonio, Derek White, or would he continue to be Boston, Derek White, Joe?
One thing that we're going to see for sure this year is how J.J. Redick's career is going to go as a coach. His first year was a little melancholy. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
I don't like his interview skills. I think he's too petulant. Now, there have been petulance before with really, really good coaches, really great coaches, guys like Bill Parcells, Mike Ditka won a Super Bowl, obviously. But basketball is a little different. Basketball, you're answering questions 82 times during the year, not 16 times or 17 times. So I think you have to be a little more reserved at some point and relax and stop leaving podiums your rookie season and handling the microphone like you're about to do a set. Because all that does is show panic. It shows a sense of panic from the head coach. Head coach needs to be cerebral in a lot of ways. It can still be, throw quips. Phil Jackson was one of the best at doing that, but he did it in a way where it wasn't belligerent and wasn't crybaby-ish. However, we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait to see how that plays out. Luka looks like he's already in game
really good shape.
And the obsession with his diet and his physique is a little, nauseating. I've tried to stay away from a lot. It's impossible to stay away from it because you flip through the social media ads and they're going to just pop out. But I've tried to stay away from the ESPNs and the Foxes and all that. And I've been doing that for a while anyways. Every time those guys talk, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. They're just horrible at their job. Tim Legler, I think, is the last of the Mohicans, man. When ESPN fires him one day, that's going to be really it for NBA on ESPN.
Still really good on the telestrator.
Yeah, he's really good and doesn't get enough play time, unfortunately.
Well,
but
that could come sooner rather than later because they're bringing in the high-priced inside the NBA guys. Some of these studio guys have got to be moved on out.
Uh, I can't remember who mentioned this. It might have been Shaq. I don't know. It might have been Charles. I don't know. But this is now Disney. This isn't Turner Sports.
Mhm.
So history has said that Disney has screwed these kind of things up.
Mhm.
And not to stay on the negative on that, but that's what they do. They ruin shows. They have horrible hires, and they've had horrible commentating. I'm not talking about like the Perkins and those guys. Those actually, the Perkins doesn't really bother me. It's the ones that regurgitate box scores and will say certain things that people like us who actually watch the game will be like, "What the hell is this idiot talking about?" That's not what happened. You can tell they just prepared probably 2 or 3 hours before. They're not really watching the games. Now it doesn't. Charles Barkley doesn't really watch the games either, and neither does Shaq. So I don't want to front there, but why those guys are successful is because they're clowns. They're clowns in a circus, and
They're
people.
entertainers. You even said it yourself.
Yeah,
We're here to entertain.
yeah. We're here to entertain, but I also want to be knowledgeable because I don't want to be that guy, and I never have been, even though it does come out that way. And the interpretations there. And Jeff, if you're listening, is open your ears. This is for you. There's this. There's this. Oh, you're not doing this, therefore your credibility is useless. No, it's not. I know basketball. I don't have to play in college. I didn't have to play in the NBA to know how basketball works. I've played thousands of basketball games. I know what a pick and roll is. I know how to execute it. Hell, if I had to run the flex offense or run the triangle, I'm sure I can probably learn it. So I don't buy into that bullshit. And I know for a fact that I've watched more games than Charles this year. And I haven't watched a lot of games this year. Now, his excuse is he's got a busy schedule. But it's more about the fact that people want to listen to Charles say things out of his rear end and Shaq react to it.
I
And
mean, well,
it's
you
and
watched
I come off
75 at least on with us
yeah
on playback.
yeah I I really really like Shaq in so many areas, but then at the same time he's kind of like that sibling that he'll do certain things and I'm just like, what are you doing? But that's just Shaq. He's always been like that. Charles Charles is hot and cold. He says something that I'm really like yes, or he's really cold. And I'm like, God, this guy. I can see why Jordan doesn't want to talk to this guy.
Mhm.
And I don't really. I'm not into the charades. I'm not. I don't like I don't like the circus. I don't get anything out of a circus. I want the Tim Leglers. I want the guys that really talk sports. I mean, you know, congratulations on your retirement, Corso for college football. Man, when those guys, him and Curb Street were with Fowler and when those guys were in their heyday for what almost 20 more than 20 years, man. That I didn't even you don't even have to like college football to just see the knowledge and also the entertainment that they provided. I want it all. I always get asked questions about would you rather have this or would you rather have that? We opened the show a little bit, at least on the chat, where we're discussing the Switch 2, right? The question
Mhm.
for years, would you rather have the PS5? I'm sorry, the PlayStation or the Xbox? My answer was always the same. Even though I've always bought a PlayStation, I said if I was a gamer, I'd get both. Just get both. Why is there a duality there? Why you don't have to have a duality. Get them both. End the charade. So I want knowledgeable analysts with the entertainment. And unfortunately, 99% of the time, you're getting one or the other. And that's just the world we live in. That's what this has come to, because the deadheads show that they want entertainment. They want that dopamine. They don't want any knowledge.
Dan Inspiration says, would Utah trade Kessler and Clarkson for Reeves, Dalton, and a first? Would this be fair?
I don't think the Lakers are trading Dalton. I'm sorry. They're not trading Austin for anything other than a star. The only way they trade Austin is they trade him for a star. So if Giannis demanded a trade to LA, let's say, Austin will be in that package. Something like that, someone of that ilk. Doesn't have to necessarily be Giannis an MVP, but maybe a perennial all-star.
Chris Paul,
yeah.
Returning to the Lakers. I know that's been talked about in recent days. I'm not high on that one.
No, please, no. We have enough. We have enough of we have one banana boat on the team, and that's enough. Chris Paul. Chris Paul with Kobe Bryant would have been legendary, but we got cheated out of that.
And I'm not high on Nick Claxton either, because not a great rebounder, and down the stretch, I mean, we talked Mitchell Robinson. You saw what they went to is Hacka Mitchell to get him off the floor at times for the next. Nick Claxton is just as bad in the free throw category, and you got to have at least a guy that's going to shoot 70% from the free throw line, so that it won't be such of an enigma or somebody to target. It's not high in Claxton. I know that Stone is still high in Claxton. I'm just not. Plus, he's just so skinny. His lower body is just so skinny. I'm not sure he can really provide the strength you need inside, Joe. But again, good shot blocker, rim protector, lob threat. Does a couple of things good, but really doesn't solve all the problems.
No, we have to see how these teams construct from here on out with the current CBA. Chicago has no reason to trade Kobe White. That's their best player.
It declines best, by the way. Nick Claxton, I believe, has a declining contract after I think, $27 million. I can go ahead and look it up. It
doesn't matter if he declines and wants to get more money than what he's getting paid. The Lakers don't have anything.
No, the actual amount of money it declines. Let me go with that. It goes from 27. It goes from 25 to 23 to 20.
You're talking the decline. Oh, yeah.
Decline, yes. The actual money goes down in value. 25, 23 to 20.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna. I mean, they could put Rui if they. I don't know. No, I was thinking Rui, and if they were to take on, but why would they take on Vanderbilt? I don't know. I don't think that's
Vanderbilt's going to be a hard one to pass. I mean, yeah, he's only $10 to $12 million. I get it, but it's the years on that, and you see now, Joe. You and I mean, Jamie and Empire Jeff are on the Vando Hill that we have been off of for quite some time. You literally can't play him more than 15 minutes.
I've never really been on any kind of hill with Vanderbilt. He's shown spurts, but I cannot stand lousy fundamental basketball players. If you can't catch, am I the only one on right now? If you can't catch a basketball under the basket or make a layup at 6'8", I don't know what to do with you. I can't stand players like that. Absolutely cannot stand players like that. You cannot be. It's an insult to the game when someone is 6'8" with long arms and can't dunk like a normal NBA player because they're worried about something. There's a lack of connecting focus in those moments, and I just can't watch it. It reminds me his inability to catch a basketball and score on a regular basis is it brings back PTSD. Kwame Brown. And what's worse is Kwame Brown had small hands for his size. Vanderbilt has big hands. So you can't use that as an excuse. Just I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if his mom and dad came and said, "Don't say that about my son. It hurts us." I'm like, your son can't catch a basketball in traffic. And he's got big hands and long arms and he's 6'8". I'm sorry. He's got no use for me. And it's been proven.
Yeah.
And all these regular season wins, when they look at the record, when I say
Yeah.
they, as in Jeff and whomever is supporting Vanderbilt, it means nothing to me. If you can't perform those simple duties when it matters, you're useless. I don't give a shit if you're 18-6 with this guy during February and March. What the hell does that do? It means nothing. They got their ass kicked by the Minnesota Timberwolves because of the inability of using him when he's in there. And they don't play him a lot of minutes because of that. So it's not just us guys sitting on our chairs at home having the issue. It's the guys that are actually calling the plays, like Redick and LeBron and Luka. It's just
And that's the
not.
problem.
I don't like weak-minded players in any sport, and I don't give a shit to identify with them sitting on my chair. So if a plumber comes to my house and he's been in the industry for 25 years and I've never taken out a garbage disposal and he absolutely destroys my sink, I can't say anything now because I've never been a plumber. You're getting paid all that money. I'm wasting my time watching you play basketball. I've invested my time to watch you play. I have the right to tell you that you suck when you suck. Now, I'm not going to go after your family. I'm not going to curse you out at the game. That's stupid. I'm not going to go online and destroy your life. I will say that you stink on air and online, but I'm not insulting you unless you're a piece of shit human being like an Anthony Edwards, but that's a different story. But yeah, there is nothing that anyone can tell me that will ever make sense when it comes to a NBA basketball player who's getting paid millions of dollars, who's in the highest league on the planet, who's one of approximately 450 players that's only in this league, and 6'8" long arms, big hands, and can't catch the ball. You're going to hear it from me. Sorry.
M24. I mean, Kai Jones. I know that DivX Ray absolutely is infatuated with Kai Jones, and he did end up playing well the back half of the season, or whenever he got waived, I believe, by the Clippers, and Mavericks picked him up. But again, if Jackson Hayes, for all what we know he could and could not do, it's a minimum. It was a minimum flyer the Lakers took out on him. So it's a minimum risk that the Lakers, he just didn't turn out the way we had hoped for someone that was a lottery pick himself. Kai Jones, you could give it a try at the minimum. I have no problems with that. But again, don't spend like the mid-level, the 5.6 on him. I would just as a minimum, give it a try and give it a shot. But it brings me to the question, because I know Dan Inspiration had a trade. He was talking about getting Marcus Smart for Gabe and Vando, and I'm like, well, Gabe and Vando constitute like one. I mean, they're are part of our bench unit, and we've already got one of the worst bench units on the league, and you're taking two of the better pieces of those bench units, for lack of a better term, by getting someone who is on the downside of his career now in Smart. But he's then had a really, really good question I wanted to pose to you, Joe. And that's what can the Lakers do realistically this offseason? Since you believe so much in continuity, I don't personally. I think there are two assets which could, in Rui and Austin, you could get multiple pieces for, or a better piece, and not run the risk of losing either one or both of them. But you want, again, you're more, let's just keep this thing together and see if we could grow it from there. I just think there's a lot of problems with the rebounding, inside play, perimeter defense, and bench play, which needs to be solved before I think the Lakers can take that next step. But getting back to Dan's question is, what can the Lakers do realistically this offseason?
It's based off the fact that LeBron is playing another year. If it wasn't LeBron, if LeBron had played his last season this year, I'd have a whole different mindset on how this needs to be constructed. But I'm also putting myself in Jeannie's and Rob's position. They're not going to trade Austin. They like Austin unless it's for a star. And that's I think 100%. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. The continuity helps immensely, but it's more based off the fact that this team, because it doesn't have a bench, needs to keep all the players they can and acquire talent. They have to add to this team first to see if they can do that first. Jay's trolling right now.
Oh, I think he is. I was saying that Bronny will.
Jay, you want a kick in the face? The slap wasn't enough. You know why I came back? I came back because my Australian brothers begged me to come back. I was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to blame somebody, blame them. But if they draft Bryce, I am done.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be it. Now the good thing is I have my own show, which I don't have to talk Laker basketball. I could talk about other sports, especially with football season coming. So
we are not overrating Rob in the slightest, but at least I'm not. I need to see more. He did get Luka.
Hold on.
On a silver platter.
Hold on. What do you mean Rob got Luka and that's all? How often do GMs get generational players in their prime without giving up much?
Mm-hmm.
No. That doesn't happen. That was a Jerry West move. Rob made a Jerry West move. Those deals don't happen. If you think we were shocked because we were just excited about the deal, no, then you don't know what the hell, you don't know what's going on. You don't get Luka Doncic's not even in their prime yet. Now he's getting into his prime. At this time, at 26, he just turned 26. Jerry West got Shaq at 24. That was the last time they got a guy, and that was from free agency. He didn't have to. He had a much clearer path, even though he had to shed salary. But he didn't have to worry about the trade packages and the sniveling and the snitching that the world is now. So yeah, you have to give him credit, a crap load of credit, until he gets to a situation where he can't construct the right team around him.
And again, I'm saying for myself, he was presented with that opportunity. He did find the parameters to get that deal done, so you have to credit him on that. But he has a very up and down history. His talent evaluation has not always been the best. So I am not as confident in Rob Pelinka maybe as Joe is. And I respect Joe's answer. I respect Joe's opinion on it. But I see the track history and the resume that he has built with the Lakers and in the front office. And it's not always been that stellar. So again, I have to see more, but I will give him credit when he was presented with the opportunity or handed him or however you want to say it. He did get the numbers to work right to get it done and still had assets, minimal amount of assets, but he still had assets left over to go ahead to see what we could do something for this summer. So I'm hoping that something will be done this summer to improve the team because, I would like to see if LeBron and Luka could get a full run with a better team around them. I'm not totally convinced of that, but it's see if we can get that done. So we'll see whether or not you want to go with Joe's plan and stay status quo or towards me in a summer that I'm going to see. I think we're going to see a lot of transactions. I think we're going to see quite a few because, again, only one team has cap space. So I think there's going to be a lot of player movement involved in trades, and if the Lakers will be part of that. So
guys, I don't know what the hell's going on with your assessments on this, but it's pretty public that Pelinka kept this under wraps away from LeBron, from Clutch, and Nico obliged and made sure that he was quiet. That was Pelinka making sure that was all going on. That's on record. So what are you guys talking about? You guys actually think Nico called Pelinka and said, "I'll give you Luka," and that's what happened? Why did it take 3 weeks then? If it was just handed to him. You guys are starting to talk like Charles Barkley. At your butts. Now you're gonna have to wait. This deal doesn't happen unless Pelinka makes it happen, and he was the captain on this. So yeah, untrue. Nico asked the Bucks and Minnesota. All I heard was Minnesota, and Minnesota said no. I didn't hear anything about Boston or the Bucks. And if you think Boston wouldn't have leaked that, you're out of your mind. By the way.
Yeah, the only one we heard was Minnesota.
The only one we heard was Minnesota. So I don't know where you heard this. I don't know where the hell you heard Giannis for Luka. That where's the source on that? Is it Reddit? We've been on this, so I don't know what the hell you guys. I don't know what you're talking about with Giannis in Milwaukee.
I think you guys are just going way too far into the rabbit's hole on that one. So, no, I heard he first asked for you. No, that's you got to show us the link on that one. You got to show us the story on that one. So, yeah, I'm going to type it in now. Nico, Giannis, ESPN. Let's see. Deuce and that. Would Nico Harris trade the Mavericks' #1 pick for Giannis Antetokounmpo?
That's not the same subject.
That's from the Columbus Dispatch. So yeah, that's no.
First of all, here's something to consider. Luka, would Luka have wanted to play in Milwaukee? Not likely. Would he have wanted to play in Minnesota, even if Minnesota would say yes? Probably not. It's probably why they said no. They're like, well, what are the chances Luka wants to stay in Minnesota? Not likely. Boston? Maybe.
Yeah, I think you guys are going. I think you're putting those tinfoil hats on a little bit too tight for your conspiracy theories there. But
find it, Mel Gibson.
Yes.
And you may take our lives, but you'll never take our knowledge.
He's gonna do it. I knew he was gonna do it. I knew that's when he hesitated. When he hesitated, I knew he was gonna do it. I knew he was gonna do it. But,
sorry, I had to wait. The timing had to be perfect on that one. I had thought about it about 5 minutes ago.
Wendy or Sham said it. No.
Where? Show it. Send me the link.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, Wendy or Shams. You're just gonna run down Tim Lang. You're just SVP. You're just gonna run down every ESPN personality best. Come on, best. Yeah, that's. Yeah, that Mavs first ask. No, that's
Windy or Shams.
They were clueless. They were Shams is the only one that had the insight on this because he's the one that reported. We were all here. Come on, that's no. Come on, guys. That's yeah. You guys are going down the rabbit hole, and we're not going there with you. How I find it was 4 months. Well, it can't be proven. Then, if you cannot prove it, it is not true. Best deal with it. You were wrong. It's okay.
That's a good one, Dan. Gel Mibson. That's more accurate. Gel Mibson.
Yes, but or also he's going to probably go to the Bubble Woj. Do you remember Bubble Woj? Oh, that was hilarious during COVID. Yes, Bubble Woj was hilarious. So yes, there you go. But this, of course, the Lakers fast break. Joe, I think we're going to try to be back on Friday night after the game, so we'll go ahead and report on what's going on in Game 4. Yes. Oh my God, I heard by my own ear. There you go. That's your
really
source.
I really like Gel Mibson. That's just it sounds so cool.
Your own ear. Yes, there you go. That's your
Gel
source.
Mibson.
My own ear.
I might have to put one of the temporary passwords once in a while. I'll put that one down with like a #1 or something.
Exactly.
No one's ever gonna guess that. At least not now.
Joe, have you got a new? I saw the source. Was the account on Twitter of an amateur reporter. There you go. Hustler called her right there for you. But Joe, have you got anything cooking up at the Joe Soro experiment coming up?
Well,
I know the Dodgers won today.
Yeah, I was gonna have a show tonight, but I wanted to. We hadn't been on the LFB for a minute, so tomorrow it'll shift to tomorrow, and we'll be talking about the Padres series and then the upcoming Giants series, as well as the 4-game set against the Padres again, but this time it'll be in LA. So the Dodgers today, to put a little, I guess, preview of what we're going to be talking about. The Dodgers today showed the Padres, even though they got blown out yesterday, but it was a bullpen game. But they showed the Padres today, even though they sort of had a half of a bullpen game, although Kasparius is kind of the 9th starter, if you will. Mm-hmm. He had 5 really good innings that he went at. I don't think they expected 5. They were probably hoping for 3 or 4, but absolutely killed it. But then Teo got out of his funk, which most of us knew he would at some point. And he has a special thing for the Padres, by the way. If the NLDS last year had an MVP, he would have won it. But Padre killer right now is Teo. Teo is a very scary guy to the Padres, and I'm hoping that the home run today, which pretty much probably took him over. There was a sequence in the 7th inning where the Dodgers got out of a 1-out, bases loaded situation at the top of the lineup, and they were able to probably close it. That was probably the gut punch for the Padres. But nonetheless, the Dodgers have a certain metal that they acquired last year, and today's game was indicative of that. And should all 4 of their main starters, including Ohtani, be available in about a month, essentially probably right after the All-Star break, you are going to see, and if they stay healthy the rest of the way, I know that's an if, and it's probably not realistic, but let's say if 66.6% of those guys stay healthy the rest of the way, which is very possible, and you have Ohtani pitching, you will see the full wrath of what this team really is. And it's going to be very exciting.
Dan, I'd say a Bryce James comp. I'm going to say if you heard John Costa the other day, I'm going to say John Costa is the comp to Bryce James. Are you guys still planning on coming up?
No, Gel Mibson. I don't believe Shohei is yet above Babe Ruth, but he might be above Babe Ruth in the next 4 months. Babe Ruth didn't really pitch and hit. He pitched when he was in Boston, and then he hit in New York. And he is on record saying that it's too difficult. It was too difficult to do both. Shohei has already pitched and hit for 3 seasons. Now, if he does it in a season where he can win, I mean, let's say he gets, at this point, if he starts in July, he's probably going to have 2 starts in July, and then he'll have, let's say, 4 in August and 4 in September. So he'll have 10 starts probably to finish the season. If he wins 7 of those 3, and then he pitches in the playoffs and is dynamite and is hitting, and they win a championship, then Shohei will be the greatest baseball player ever. But right now, it's still Babe Ruth in my view. And Barry Bonds, in our lifetime, is arguably the best baseball player we've ever seen. But you cannot get away from post 2000 Bonds. Post 2000 Bonds didn't do it naturally. And baseball players don't get freakishly better after their 14th season. 1999 was his 14th MLB season, Barry Bonds. And I did some numbers here, Gerald. You know what his batting average was from 87 to 1999?
What's that?
287.
Not too shabby.
And not too bad. But when you talk about greatest hitters of all time, if you factor in power and hits, sure, definitely the best hitter of our time. But the statistics, especially in baseball, they actually do matter more in baseball than any other sport. If Bonds does not take gear, Bonds is never the freakish monster he was from 2000 to 2005. How does that play out in the end? That's like asking Joe if he'd rather be rich or handsome.
Yeah.
You know my answer with that one, right, Mission? I just said it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a question of one or the other. Why not both?
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who came in late.
He said he has sent. Did you send it to the email? Did you send it to put it out on the chat? So we don't see it on the chat. That's
what
what
did
I'm
Best
asking.
League send?
He said he sent a link. I don't see it. So
for what?
I don't know. He said, for his proof. I was going to tell him that maybe I believe ER's rumor that
he's sitting on the crapper.
That Rob Pelinka funded the LA riots more than I would believe what Best League says. So
has Ohtani peaked? I mean, how can you get better than 50-50? 60-60? I don't think he's ever going to get 60-60 because he's going to pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's where Ohtani can really surprise. I think he's going to pitch at least 2 more years. And if he's hitting 40 home runs and getting 30 stolen bases in that and winning championships, it's just Ohtani has an 8-game hitting streak, and he has had a bad June. I want you to really hear what I just said. Ohtani has an 8-game hitting streak, and he's having a bad month. That is a different beast. I don't think we've ever seen a beast like that. And by the way, his triple today set the stage for them to win the game because they got that extra insurance, and those things matter. When he is shown in the year and change that he's played with the Dodgers that the fear factor is always there, and he comes through. If he doesn't hit that 3-run jack against the Padres in Game 1 in the NLDS, I don't think the Dodgers beat the Padres. That was like an igniter on the Dodgers that you can't buy that. Because everything looked like it was the same thing happening again. Oh, shoot. We had a first, second inning that sucked ass. We're down 3-0 already, and usually the Dodgers would finish that game with a loss. But then he had a 3-run jack, and it set the stage for them to come back and score more runs, and they ended up winning game one. Now, they didn't win game one. They probably get swept because they lost the next two games.
Best, when you send a link and you wanting to prove you're right, and the title of it already starts with the word reportedly, yeah, you lose all credibility on that.
See, now you got to change your name to Worst League. Much like Gel Mibson. Gel Mibson. It's Gel Mibson from now on. I don't care what it says over there.
Yeah. SI.com, Sports Illustrated is not the Sports Illustrated that you remember when you went to the barber store and there'd be like 15 or 20 Sports Illustrated sitting there on the side, and you'd be reading like one that was like from what, 2.5 years before, like maybe like an MLB preview or something. Yeah, that those days are gone. SI has gone the way of LeBron Wire, Bleacher Report, many of those sites that have, they just go off of innuendo. They probably read Reddit more than you guys do. So, yeah, I don't think I hold any water on that. So, no, again, reportedly, the word reportedly is when that's in there, that kind of takes it on out.
Gel, look, Mibson, these questions, can you wait for Shohei to finish his career first?
Exactly. I mean, according to ER, reportedly, according to ER, Rob Pelinka funded the LA riots recently. So, yeah, reportedly that's according to ER. So, it is what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, reportedly it is.
Barry Bonds without steroids, probably Ken Griffey Jr. I think that's a good assessment. Although I did like Bonds better than Griffey, even at his peak. I always liked Bonds better than Griffey in the 90s. But Bonds, if Bonds retires at the end of 1999, he would have been in the Hall of Fame in 2004.
Yes, no doubt.
He was Hall of Famer. He was already a 3-time MVP, but he became a superhero on gear. He became Bo Jackson of baseball. In terms of athletic freakness. Yeah, Gel Mibson is probably one of the best names I've heard in a while. So props to who was it that said it? Was it Jay? Or was it Hustler?
I think
Hustler said
I'll look it up. I'm scrolling up now. Up now. I'm looking for the equal sign because he had the equal sign going on. Yes, as Dan Inspiration.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good job, Dan. You inspired.
That's two good ones. He had that really good question about the Lakers.
You inspired the show, and you inspired a lot of laughs because I didn't see. So I've never seen 3 guys say LOL at the same time. That must have been funny.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. But again, Joe will be on tomorrow. Maybe Joe will be stopping on by there too.
Yeah,
so
come to the show and like and subscribe, Joe, and we'll, I'll give you some props, even though your information is bonk.
I mean, if you guys want to go to a place, go to LeBron Wire, because it might as well say reportedly LeBron Wire, because that deals with more rumors and innuendo than probably any place I've ever seen on the sport of basketball.
Remember, guys.
NBA Centel on Twitter. Yeah,
you got to look at the headlines. If they say things like discussion, Lakers get Wemby, discussion, like don't click on those things. Also, when you go to a video and they say wait till the end, give them a huge finger virtually and don't click on it. And try to avoid the skanky women ones too if you can. I know sometimes you want to see something that you want to see, but you'd get less of that garbage if you stop clicking to it.
ER is actually asking a decent question this time. What's our thoughts on MJ broadcasting? He better be ready for it as far as be able to deliver sound analysis and then be ready to take the pushback from the modern area guys that are out there in the league. And also, well, I don't think he'll care about social media because I'm not even sure if he follows social media or has social media, but I know that, again, he might hear what some of his critiques and analysis from the modern NBA players. And so that in itself might be just interesting to watch.
I heard that they're paying him $40 million a year.
Jeez Louise, God, that's good money if you can get it.
I want to know which producer or executive thought of that. Somebody thought of it, or was it his agent that said, "Hey, I want to talk a little basketball since you guys are coming back to NBC, and we had an idea of coming on the show," and then maybe negotiated that. I don't know.
Because it's the 90s all over again, bringing John Tesh's music back and all that.
Yeah, I would love to find out what was the genesis of that discussion. Was it did Jordan and his people initiate it, or was it NBC? If NBC initiated it, I'd be very impressed. I'd be very, very impressed that they did that.
It's definitely outside the box.
Michael Jordan, despite his issues with the Charlotte franchise, is the most credible basketball mind that's ever been involved in basketball. Even if you don't like what he says, even if he's wrong, that quote in The Last Dance, that it's arguable that Michael Jordan might have been the best at his job than anyone that has been on their job. It's just it's hard to, it's impossible to convey that to those who didn't see it live. It really is. Michael Jordan was a problem every game that I watched him in. Even the games he didn't shoot well, he was a problem. That just doesn't happen in sports. Like Tom Brady was close with that. But it takes Tom Brady, it takes Michael Jordan, it takes Tiger Woods. Like Tiger Woods, man, the situation with his personal life going the way it did, that obviously played a lot of mental issues in that. But really, the issue with Tiger Woods not being Tiger Woods, I think after 2008, was that man for since he was 4 years old, absolutely destroyed his body. His back and his knee were shredded from those swings after swings after swings. But if he was healthy, he'd still be dominating, because he had something here that only a few guys have ever had.
Well, we'll see once he gets out there, if he's willing to lay it out on the line, provide some distinct analysis, and be ready for the feedback from the modern NBA players around the league.
No one cares. No one cares. No one really cares what idiots say about the 90s. I mean, come on. You're gonna go look at Chet Holmgren and then tell me that he's better than David Robinson? David Robinson looked like a freaking god.
Now, JJ, when he made his comments, that wasn't about the 90s. That was earlier, if I'm mistaken. About the firemen and plumbers and all that?
No, he said that the 90s were watered down.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was probably a dumber comment.
Okay.
That might have been a dumber comment than the plumber one, because there was maybe some merit back in the 50s and 60s where you had guys that were not necessarily getting enough money to do just basketball, right? They had second jobs. But in the 90s, to say that the 90s was watered down, that was as stupid as, because you look at Minnesota, you look at Toronto, and you look at Vancouver. Really, Orlando was changed when they got Shaq. They were a competitive team in the 90s. Minnesota sucked.
Mm.
Toronto didn't get kind of the next level until 98 when Vince Carter got drafted there, right?
Yes.
And then Vancouver didn't go anywhere. So what? You're talking about 2 teams out of the 4 that were the expansion teams around that time.
Mhm.
2 of them ended up getting superstars and somewhat started getting competitive in the 90s. One went to the finals. So yeah, and again, I don't care what anyone says there. I mean, I'll argue that till the cats, dogs, horses come home. You would never take a Chet Holmgren or even a Wembyama over a Hakeem or a David Robinson. Those guys would have destroyed those guys. Karl Malone looked like he actually might be bigger than LeBron now. LeBron lost a lot of weight in the last year. Karl Malone was a beast. Charles was a beast. And the secondary guys were beasts. Guys like Xavier McDaniel and Kevin Willis, like these guys were huge and beasts too. Yeah, come on, give me a break. You don't think those guys could have adapted to today's game too? By the way,
Yeah,
come on. It's basketball. At the end of the day, those guys would have adapted.
Tony says we should try to steal Clint Capella. Get him on a cheap contract. I wouldn't mind, but we'll see how much he has left in the tank. I know he's 31. Should still have some years left. So yeah, maybe you can go ahead and get Blake or something.
Gilbert Arenas is a that guy's a clown and a half. Michael had no weaknesses. 0 weaknesses. Go talk to his teammates.
Yeah, Jaime Jaquez might need a change of scenery. I mean, he had that great rookie year, Tony, but declined or regressed in year 2 in Miami. It came to the point where he actually was benched and didn't get to see much time at all late in the season or in the playoffs because he was just out of the rotation. So if we could get a player like Jaime Jaquez, Triple J, to play like he once did, obviously that would be a big thing for the Lakers. Again, one of the areas of need is trying to increase the depth on this team because we saw when it came down to it, the Lakers had 4.5, 5 good starters or good players out there that they could put out there. Just nothing coming off the bench that was really inspiring at all, which was kind of disappointing to see. But again, the task is out there for Rob Pelinka this summer.
Yeah, thanks for remembering that, Dan. Sorry, I forgot that KG went to the Timberwolves in '95. It's just that they weren't competitive in the '90s.
So that is the Lakers Fast Break. Tomorrow it is on the Joe Soro channel. Joe Soro channel. It's right there. Right there. It's right there. You can see his name right there. Joe Soro. Just type in Joe Soro on YouTube. Comes right up. Tomorrow night, you will get to see the experiment right there as he talks about the world of sports as only he can. And then we'll try to come back with the Lakers Fast Break on Friday. Big shout out again to Laker Tom. Laker Tom puts himself out there when he does these trades. So I want to give him an absolute ton of credit for doing so. He gets roasted or praised, mostly roasted online and even on Lakerholics.com. So please support him today by either liking him on Twitter at LakerTom or checking out his great articles that he does. He takes a lot of time in doing them. So go ahead and support him today at Lakerholics.com. Jamie Sweet, Michael Heinrich, those guys do a great job running that site. So please support them indeed. But again, tomorrow, it is the Joe Soro experiment on the Joe Soro channel. And then Friday, Lakers Fast Break right there on Playback, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. We will have Game 4. Will OKC make the necessary adjustments or will Indiana take control? We'll find out. But yes, absolutely looking forward to it. So for Joe Soro, it's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching us. 2 good hours. We came back 2 hours for you. Only for us. Only for you. Right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Joe Mipson.